All right, hello and welcome. Today, we are diving deep into a place where history, legend, and pure power all crash together. I'm talking about the magnificent Hunyadi Castle. So, let's get right into it.
Okay, let's kick things off with a bit of a riddle. What on earth do a haunted castle, a royal tomb, and Hollywood all have in common? I know, it sounds like the setup for a pretty wild story, right?
Well, the answer to all three is Hunyadi Castle. Yup. It's one of the most important cultural landmarks in all of Slovakia, and we're about to find out why it is so much more than just a beautiful pile of old rocks. So, where do we start? Well, our story kicks off exactly where you'd expect a great castle story to begin, way back in the Middle Ages. To really get a feel for this incredible place, we've got to go back, way back to its foundations.
You know, this castle wasn't just thrown up overnight. Its history covers centuries. So construction gets going in 1377. Then it really hits its stride as a royal residence in the 15th and 16th centuries. And then, much later, it gets a total makeover during the Renaissance revival in the 1800s.
And that long, winding history, it's literally carved into the castle's walls. It's like the building is wearing its history. You can see the original Gothic style in those pointed arches. You can feel its medieval power from the battlements built for defense. And you can see the elegance from those 19th century updates. Every single layer tells a different chapter of its story.
And what's really cool is how connected the castle is to the land around it. It was built using local sandstone and limestone. I mean, it quite literally grew out of the very ground it was designed to protect and command. How amazing is that? But look, a castle is just a building without the people who lived in it, right? To really get the story of its power, we have to talk about the legendary family that gave it its name, the Hunyadis.
And at the absolute center of this dynasty is one guy, János Hunyadi. This man was a giant of his time, a brilliant military leader for the Kingdom of Hungary, which, by the way, was huge back then, covering territory that includes modern-day Slovakia. He became famous all across Europe for his relentless defense against the Ottoman Empire. This made him one of the most powerful men alive, and this castle, it became the very symbol of that power.
And I'm not exaggerating here. When this castle was in its prime, it wasn't just a castle. It was the center of political gravity for the entire Kingdom of Hungary. Everything revolved around this place.
It really had two jobs, which is pretty fascinating when you think about it. On one hand, it was a home, a royal residence for kings and the Hunyadi family. But on the other hand, it was the office. The royal court here was the beating heart of the kingdom. Decisions that shaped the future of nations were made right within these walls.
Okay, now for the fun part. Every great castle has secrets. And believe me, Hunyadi is no exception. So let's start peeling back the layers and see what's hiding behind all that stone. First up, just think about this number for a second. 4 meters. 4. That's how thick the defensive walls are. This place was built to be completely impenetrable. It's just a raw statement of power and strength.
But the secrets go even deeper. And I mean that literally. There's a whole system of underground tunnels running all over the place beneath the castle. And get this, legend has it that the ghost of János Hunyadi himself still walks the halls. And on a more somber note, it's also the family tomb, the final resting place for János and his wife, Ilona Szilágyi. And beyond all the ghost stories and legends, the castle is a literal treasure chest. It's packed with an incredible collection of art, super rare books, and historical artifacts. Things like pottery and coins that give us this amazing, direct connection to the people who actually lived here centuries ago. So that brings up a good question. How does a medieval fortress like this even make it all the way to the 21st century? Let's take a look at the castle's journey, from being this powerhouse of its time to the national treasure it is today.
You can really break its life down into 4 acts. Act 1, it's a tough-as-nails military stronghold. Act 2, it transforms into a grand royal palace. Act 3, it falls into ruin, a sad period of decay. And finally, Act 4, it's a rebirth as the incredible National Museum that we can all go and see today. Now here's a little detail about its official status that's kind of interesting. The castle itself isn't on the UNESCO World Heritage List all by itself. But, and this is the important part, it is recognized as a key piece of a much larger protected area called the Hungarian Hill Country Cultural Landscape. So it's part of a bigger picture.
And all that brings us right up to today.
The castle is owned by the Slovak government, and it's open to the public as a museum, which is awesome. It's even a bit of a movie star, popping up as a backdrop in films and TV shows. And crucially, it's always being restored. It's this continuous, never-ending project to make sure this incredible piece of history is around for generations to come.
You know, all of this leaves us with a really fascinating question to chew on. As we put all this time and money into restoring these incredible historical treasures, it really makes you think, what stories are we actually choosing to save? Whose history gets the spotlight? And whose stories maybe get left behind in the shadows of those 4-meter thick walls? It's definitely something to think about.